Hi, and welcome back to Football Made Simple.
An intriguing El Clasico took center stage when Ancelotti's table-topping Madrid hosted Xavi's rejuvenated Barcelona. In the end, it was Barcelona who romped to a victory, 4-0 thanks to goals by Ferran, Araujo, and an Aubameyang double. The XG showed us a well-deserved win, 4.3 to 0.64. But what tactics were on display? Let's take a closer look. Just before then, my favorite fantasy football app is back and better than ever with a massive giveaway. For the next 3 match days in the Premier League, just by selecting a team on Spitch, if you're ranked in the top 10, you can win massive prizes like AirPods Pro, an Apple Watch 7, a holiday package, or even cash prizes up to €3,000. All you have to do is download Spitch through the link below for free and make a fantasy football team. The beauty of Spitch is that prizes are given on a week-by-week basis, so if you enter today, you have just as much chance of winning. And the point scoring in Spitch is great, as it's not just about goals and assists. Instead, passes, blocks, and interceptions count, so players in all positions are valuable. So for this week, my team looks like this. Make sure to download Spitch and join my Spitch community through the link below so that we can compete in the same league. Spitch is currently UK and Ireland only and 18 years old and up. We'll focus on Barcelona in possession and Real's defense. One of the first things that made Real poor in defense was in fact their offensive shape. When they were attacking, as they did not have a recognized forward, Real's attacking personnel consistently changed, from having Rodrigo as a false 9 with Carvajal or Valverde wide, or Modric as a false 9, sometimes joined by Kroos to make a double false 9. As a result, when they were then transitioning into their defensive shape, they could be miscoordinated in their player positioning due to players not knowing where they were supposed to be, as we'll discuss. But when Barcelona were building up initially, Real would mostly be in a 4-4-2 with Kroos and Modric as the forwards. This would mean their aging legs had less room to cover, whilst the more mobile Valverde and Casemiro would cover the space in the midfield. However, we would often see Vinicius be the second presser with Kroos remaining deeper, and if Vinicius was able to press Militao on his shoulder, this would cut off the passing lane into the fullback, as he would be in the cover shadow, meaning that Kroos could more effectively cover the remaining man. But often, Vinicius was not able to do this in time, meaning that the centre-back would receive outside of Vinicius' pressure, who was no longer covering the fullback, and subsequently Kroos would be 2 versus 1 down in the wide area. Again, we also saw miscommunications here, as Kroos and Vinicius could both think they were meant to be pressing alongside Modric, which would leave space here. Another example of this miscommunication is that at times, Modric could be in the midfield, and Rodrigo would move to centre forward with either Carvajal supporting at right wing, or more commonly Valverde. However, if this shape wasn't coordinated well when they were switching to the defense when pressing, Rodrigo would be central, and he would expect Valverde or Carvajal to be covering, but they would not be found there. However, higher up the pitch, Barca were generally building up in a 4-3-3 with a deeper single pivot and, as many possession teams do now, having the free 8s high in the half spaces. With only 2 dedicated men in the midfield, Real could be outnumbered, so often Kroos and Modric, rather than pressing the centre-backs, would cover the pivot. And when this was well coordinated, the remaining Real midfielders could cover the men in the half spaces. For Barcelona, the goal of using this shape was to create a 5 versus 4 advantage against the back line, so that if the man in the half space received and drew in a fullback, it could leave 1 versus 1s out wide, especially for Dembele, who assisted the first from a 1 versus 1. Alternatively, it could create room for the midfield runners to make runs into the box, which De Jong was particularly effective with. And the way this front five was formed was variable depending on where Barcelona wanted advantage. If they wanted more numbers attacking the box, Alba could move up on the outside, allowing Ferran to move into the half space and Pedri to move into the midfield, allowing Ferran to attack the box alongside De Jong and Aubameyang, or effectively be a second forward. The way Ancelotti looked to cover this was by using back fives. So when a man in the half space was about to receive, both Alaba and Militao were extremely aggressive in closing down the man to prevent them turning and causing an impact, which could be effective. However, if they were late to press or were dragged too high up the pitch, this would leave a gaping hole in the backline to be attacked. But for the most part, when Alaba pressed, Casemiro would move into the backline to cover. Alternatively, Rodrigo could move to right wing back so that the front line was now 5 versus 5. However, the pressing still left gaps in the backline, so early on in the game, Ancelotti switched to a 4-3-3 in defense, so that Kroos and Valverde could more effectively cover the men in the half spaces, whilst leaving a spare man to mop up. However, a tactic which went horribly wrong for Ancelotti was the temporary switch to a back three to allow Real to be more offensive. With Barcelona keeping a wide front three, the Real back three was usually stretched across the pitch, leaving these massive gaps. And these were immediately exploited by Barcelona with runs either from the forwards behind the high line or the free eights like De Jong. This was taken advantage of within 15 seconds of Real's switch to a back three. A minute later, this culminated in the third goal. The Barcelona front three are man-to-man with Real's back three spread across the pitch. But De Jong from the free 8 role was making runs high up all game, so by losing his man, Barcelona now instantly have an overload. This leads to a 2 versus 1 at the back post and a goal. So almost immediately, Ancelotti reverted to a back four by dropping initially Camavinga, then Casemiro into the backline, meaning they went from a shaky back four to another shaky back four, but now with more players out of position. Overall, this is an impressive performance from Barcelona that solidifies just how far they've come under Xavi and shows why they could be a force again sooner than expected. For Real, in the title race, these 3 points probably won't matter, but this does not bode well for their Champions League performances. As always, not every tactic could be covered, so drop anything else you noticed down below. As for the managerial tactical score, this was usually impressive from Xavi, coming up with answers for most questions posed, and although not perfect, he still earns a 9. Ancelotti on the other hand left the side vulnerable defensively, and his tweaks made things worse, meaning he gets a 2. But what are your ratings? Drop them down below. And if you enjoyed this video, you may also enjoy the FMS Patreon. On Patreon, you'll get early access to videos, exclusive videos, as well as the ability to vote on various polls and so much more. It's a great way to support the channel, and it is now cheaper than ever. All you have to do is head over to patreon.com/footballmadesimple, or press the card in the top right or the end card at the end of this video. And a special thanks to my patrons including Relu, Edwin and Ref.
But that's all for today, and remember, keep it simple.